Yeah, so here we go again. Been a moment. I guess that's the idea of being busy. Smoke statistics aren't low, and it's not because I'm doing so well the days of bloody long. It's because I was hella busy writing, I guess. I did manage to see a couple of people the last couple of days. I believe I talked to you on Thursday, maybe Wednesday. I don't know, but actually picked up my sister at a station down the road, so we had a little ride together. That was fun. Just hitching her a ride to me mother's to then spend an hour there before she was picked up by a friend. I was just going to say the drink of choice, the stuff I have a palate of, but it's not, that's empty. So the drink of choice today is Ulda Gazoz, which is a very kebab shop drink. You basically get it at kebab shops and at few supermarkets, I guess. This bottle happens to be from a kebab shop. Yes, I have made my transnational multi-annual migration track. Ways of phrasing it complicated. The camera's going to make noise, but I'll have to check. Temperature outside is 14.5 degrees centigrade. Skies are slightly cloudy. Earlier they were pretty clear, just down the road. The trek I done was 703.8 k after tanking, and I tanked 4k after leaving my mother's. I also made sure that my tyre pressure was fine at the place I tanked at. I did have two breaks. First one was because I decided I actually want a break. I don't want to risk momentary sleep. Because surprise, I really don't want to be crashing. I'm quite happy of being a okay driver, I guess. Today's snack of choice is soft chocolates, soft cookies, triple choc. Might as well show you. There's a video format after all. They're presentable. Would do again. I've even already managed to unload all the car, well, most of the car, in one go. That being all of my Euronorm crates, besides the one with spoilable food stuff in it, which is what I'll take up after I'm done here. Hello. Thank you very much for watching, by the way. It means the world to me. Oddly enough, I can say for the first time in a long time, no one on the road tried to kill me, which is very pleasant. There was several cooperative interactions of someone being on the right lane, something slow coming up ahead, and the person in the middle lane making space, either me or someone else for me. That was very pleasant. I managed to obey the speed limits within my tolerance of 5% or 3 kph. But most of the time I was sitting at a solid, 60 explosions per second. That would be 30 rips, revolutions per second of the crank, that is. 3,600 RPM in regular numbers, I guess. I'm not quite happy with that. I mean, that's the thing about open speed limits. How fast you can go depends on you. I'm not happy with that because it means I'm still far away from my inner peace. In town traffic these days, I managed to be fairly chilled by just double clutching in the first place. On the autobahn, I have a kind of hard time double clutching from fifth into fifth, So most of it's just driving forward, doing between 130 and 150 kph, which for Americans would probably be, well, not Americans, but Imperial System people. That includes Brits, I guess. Between 70 and 90 ballpark. I kind of want to be able to go slower, like longer term. I'd want to reach a point of inner enough peace that I can just sit there cruising behind a lorry all the way, transnationally. Perhaps several lorries, admittedly, because odds are one will leave the road eventually. And they have to do brakes, I don't. But that I'm quite far away from that point, I reckon. One thing that might aid in that, though, or it might hinder it, well, I don't know because of hypothetical, is more power. Because 3,600 rupees or 60 rups is as quick as this car will go in top gear, in 5th gear. Which means is basically as close to flat out as possible. I mean, this car got a fairly low power plant. Low power. But, you know, just going slightly above recommended speed is reasonable, I reckon. I really want the peace to sit with the lorries and not worry. Perhaps in a future in which I'll have holiday days to kill, I'll make trips like this at 2 days worth of driving and only drive country roads. Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works, you know. I really would love to have the inner peace to be able to just cruise along. I mean, yeah, I was cruising because there was no traffic, but I was cruising too fast for my own long-term liking. Admittedly, I feel safe. Surprised, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But I'd love to just be more chill, you know. It's just my internal restlessness, which I guess partially come with ADHD and partially is just being busy in my mind. Keep on racing, you know. It's not great. Don't like it. By the way, if you're still here, thank you very much. You mean the world to me. A smile's just for you. In other news, good news, both of my green plants have survived, though I've been absent for the majority of 3 weeks. They've both survived and they've both grown rather tall. And I'm thinking of actually sending them into flowering sometime soon. Good news is I won't get more than the legal 50 grams dry weight in flowers from these plants, that's for sure. I guess it's odd to say that's good news, but it's not like I'm growing it for smoking it, you know. Just growing it because I can. There is a past session on that. I can, therefore I must. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, odd. The only thing about the flat that was slightly off was bloody warm, 27 degrees centigrade. Then again, I hadn't opened the window in best part of 3 weeks. And I did have 50 watts of LED run 18 hours a day, but I highly suspect the LEDs were not the major contributor. I highly suspect that was the afternoon sun. Even though I have tinted my windows with 80% tint UV proof, that does still get warm and it's on the inside of the windows, you know, so but it'll work out. I currently got the AC running upstairs. Decided I'd afford to, just because that way I'll actually have reasonable temperature sleep by the time I get back up, you know. I told the navvy I want to go to Central Town, and when we reached the edge and I knew where I was, I told the navvy to fuck off. Don't need computers to tell me where to go if I know myself. For the Autobahn is really just handy to know how far to the next exit. It's the only thing I really care for with the navvy, oddly enough. I've driven by 5 speed traps. I mean, first off, I don't speed. or I like to believe I don't speed. Sometimes I do speed up to 5% or 3 kph over. But none of them got me because I was not speeding at any of them. And I was actually anticipating all of them. Well, 5 beside the regular ones in town that everyone know about. That is 5 on the Autobahn. And it's always kind of amusing for me because I roll along given victory before I can even see the speed trap, just because I know they're there. I mean, they ain't taking a photograph, but the reason I ain't giving them this one, the bird, is because in Germany you can actually be done for civilly. You can be sued civilly for insulting devices, because apparently one has to reckon with people looking at the photos as the devices take, even if one does not speed and has no reason to believe the device would trigger. Which I guess is a funny thing about Germany, but that's just the idea of a human's honour is untouchable, which is one of the German rights of the Constitution, is the correct term, I believe. So, you know, that's just how it is, I guess. Let me shut this window, the kids out there annoying. Yeah, it's odd, we got more than 3:30 in the AM. Date is Sunday the 14th of July 2024. And there's people outside. Oh yeah, camera, I know you're there. A recurring character, the camera, which is off screen and has not, or probably will not be shown. I have been wondering about some other video formats, just for funsies, which I would want to do higher produce. So it's a matter of once I've done my bachelor's film and thesis and thesis film. It's not a bachelor's film. It's a bachelor's thesis film. There we go. I anticipate I'll be all set early August. I mean, I got till almost mid-August to hand all the stuff in, but I want to hand it in early. So in case they're ill, they can't blame it on me. You know, it's just how it is. Sadly, with this uni, one have to be prepared for things like that, because I guarantee if they were ill and I could not hand it in because they were ill, it would be my fault. Because I should have anticipated their being ill. Which is why I'll hand it in early, because I'm anticipating it. Which means they won't be ill, of course. Here in this road, I don't believe we even have any plug-in hybrids, as far as I understand. The neighbourhood, that is. Yet there now is some charging stations around the corner. Starting to dox myself here, I noticed. Which are only to be parked in front of during the process of loading, of charging. Which is kind of meh, because it's not like anyone uses them for charging. Which means it's just taking away a couple more parking spaces, you know. Admittedly, here, this neighbourhood do have plenty of parking space per inhabitant. Yeah, I'm not going to say more to not dox myself, because if I gave out more, you could probably narrow it down well low. I don't want that. Well, I don't trust you. It's just the internet is full of weird people. Hello there. I am on the internet. My name is Ben. This is my therapy substitution. The internet is full of weird people, see? There's also a temporary double yellow line equivalent in signs. But it's, as I understand the law, and I'm fairly confident in this, those are only valid for the road, not for the parking spaces next to the road. Which means either they're going to end up towing people unrightfully so, or they aren't going to be able to do whatever work they want to do, for which they meant to block it off, because I highly believe, or highly suspect, the intent is to block parking, not the road. Never know though. I've considered calling up the place on Monday just to make sure. Then again, It start on Monday, which means I can just come here, round the corner from my place, and ask them, you know. You do realise, and odds are the person on site will have the problem of not having any cars moved. And it won't have been them who done the fuck up. People work in funny ways. Back to the video ideas I'd want to do higher produced, even though it's not at this time. One thing I'd want to kind of do is Tales from the Shrine, or from my shrine. Just because I've done one session, watched this quite a while ago. And I believe that higher produced is actually something I really rather like. You know? I mean, I have my shrine. It's full of amazing things. Might as well share them with the world. That being said, an analogy to that, because I'm just as amazed by this as I was by the watch then, is nuts that we've, as humankind, have reached a point where I, an individual, can take a horse's or mules or wagon's worth of stuff cross country in 6-7 hours, transnationally, and that by themselves. I mean, if one think back as little as before the railway, before the Industrial Revolution, first off you would have had to have a mule or horse or whatever, and then it would have been a month's trek. I was gone less than it would take to go one way before Industrial Revolution, whenever that was. I don't actually know my German history all that well. I highly suspect it was roughly the same time as elsewhere, but I wouldn't know. And I'd rather not spread false information. I guess I did have one not so positive experience, which is one guy behind me kept putting up his main beams, his high beams. So instead of the dip beams, high beams, which meant I couldn't see nothing in the rear mirror, which is kind of suboptimal. And I kept turning on my fog light to warn him, oi, I can't see squat. And they kept turning them off, and then I turned my fog light off, and then they turned them on again. Felt like they might have been not seeing very well. Then again, if they can't see, they should not be driving at night if they can't see at night, you know. I mean, no one's expecting people to have night vision, but first off, you have your reach of your headlights, which should be a reaction time for braking at any one point in time. Admittedly, if there's something stood in the middle of nowhere, which is hella scary as a concept, I mean, it can happen. Oh wow, a couple of wabbits just ran by. It can happen in the middle of nowhere, and there's a hella scary thought, which is why I don't like driving without high beams myself. But if there's traffic in front or oncoming traffic, at most flash them, I guess. And if there's traffic in front, well, they've just driven there. You know there's nothing there because you saw them pass that spot. Which means you can follow them because they didn't crash, and if they did, because you are, of course, observing adequate distance, braking distance and so on, you can brake no problem. So if you see their brake lights and then their hazards, or just their brake lights, perhaps slow down or build up a bit more distance. Then you ain't got to avoid. Admittedly, there's not always people in front of one. But if there is no one in front and there is no one in oncoming traffic, you can put on your main beams. And if there is the occasional oncoming traffic, you can just flash your main beams. Do a couple of kilometers at a time, you know. I don't actually know what average speed I've done. Wouldn't be surprised if it's in the range of 90 kph again. That's what I've done on the way down. Oddly enough, I went off the city autobahn because I had a high suspicion. I knew I was going to know where I'd end up. I did. All it required was a U-turn and a left, and then I was in a road I'm very familiar with, which means from then on it was easy cruising. This is really good winding down talking to myself. Thank you very much for watching, listening, whatever you do with this, by the way. Probably had about 35k roadworks, which would put it at approximately 5% the distance I'd driven, which is not that bad, and I'm actually rather happy to see roadworks. I actually figured this out while I was driving in roadworks, surprise. I'm happy for roadworks because that means our infrastructure is being maintained, which means there will be roads in future. Which is kind of an odd way of thinking of it, I guess, because a lot of people complain about roadworks a lot. And then again, it's just a matter of perspective. If there's roadworks, it means it'll be a new road surface, or whatever they're doing for works. It'll be an extra lane. And all of that make life more comfortable for motorists. Yeah, I'm a happy little motorist. I might not be little, but I'm a happy motorist. It's been 10 minutes since I had the ignition on. No. I reckon that's my sign to go to bed. I'm hoping I'll sleep well. I hope you too sleep well when it's time for you to go to sleep. Stay safe. I'll see you around. Cheerio.